Welcome to RelateWell Conversations. Listen, pull up a chair, get comfortable. We're going to talk about relationships. Now, if you are new with us, we are the RelateWell Institute, where we want you to live well, love well, and lead well. Dr. Richard Marks is the founder and CEO, and I, Miko Page, am the Chief Operating Officer. Our vision is to and empower transformation in individuals, couples, businesses, and churches, and empower them with the skills for healthy and mature relational growth. So feel free, as we engage in this conversation tonight, to ask questions in the chat. So we do have one question that was submitted beforehand that we're going to answer. But as you have questions, please submit them in the chat, and also engage with us in the chat. Give us some high fives or some question marks or some puzzle faces, because while one person is talking, the other one of us will be watching the chat and want to definitely make sure that we incorporate you into the conversation. Okay. So the quote. So the format is we kick it off every other month. One of us shares a quote. So we alternate in sharing a quote, one of our favorite quotes, and then we will answer any pre-submitted questions, and then we'll go into the topic for the evening. And you will want to hang tight because I created a special offer for you at the end that goes with our conversation this evening. So, Dr. Marks, share with us your quote for the evening.
Well, it's hang on a minute. It's by Thomas Aquinas. He says there is nothing on this earth more to be prized than true friendship. And there's a lot of truth to that. There's a lot of truth. And then there was another one. It says, and it's by Baltazar Gratian. He said, true friendship multiplies the good in life and divides its evils.
Oh,
Strive to have friends. For life without friends is like life on a desert island. To find one real friend in a lifetime is good fortune. To keep him is a blessing.
wow.
And that one meant a lot. Actually, both of them meant a lot to me, mainly because, you know, my experience with relationships has been, particularly friendships in the church, they were there, but then there are times you needed them, as Medea always says, she puts relationships in the category of a tree,
Uh-huh.
you know, and that most people are like leaves on the tree. They're there to take from the tree and give shade, but when the weather changes or something happens, they go away.
Mm-hmm.
Then she said, but some relationships, some people are like the branches on a tree. She says, be careful about them branches, because if there's a point in time you need them, a lot of them will break and leave you hanging high and dry.
Mm.
And that's what I found. They weren't truly friends, because a true friend will be there no matter what. Through thick, through thin, when you're messing up, they're still there. And I think that's true. Like to find one real friend in a lifetime is a good fortune. To keep him is a blessing.
Mm. Yes,
And
I
so
absolutely would agree with that.
yeah, so
Yes.
those are my quotes as it relates to tonight.
All right. Thank you. So
Mhm.
the topic for tonight, which I guess I should have shared as he shared the quote, which is in line with the topic. The topic is friendships that grow you and ones that drain you. So we had one pre-submitted question that we will answer. And the question is, what is the best way to find friends? So I'm going to start with a response to that question. I would say initially start off, it's a mindset. Okay. Are you open to being a friend, and are you open to having friends in your life? Do you move through life with an air of I'm approachable or I'm not approachable? Okay. So sometimes you may need to introduce yourself. Be the first to go. You go first. So you introduce yourself. Maybe there's someone you see out and about and they have a nice jacket or a pair of shoes that you like. Hey, I love your shoes. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people, and ultimately people I wound up connected with later, where I went first. I made a comment, found something in common, walked up to them with a warm smile, and before you knew it, we were exchanging phone numbers. So find a point of commonality. You could ask a question, offer a compliment. The next thing I would suggest is go be where people are. Okay. If you go home and work, and your home is your work, then you got to go where people are. What is it that you enjoy? Okay, find other people that like to do the things that you like, or find the things that are interesting to you that they also find interesting, and hang out with those people. Okay, so what I have found is, even though sometimes people walk around like, I'm not approachable, I'm doing my thing, or I got the headphones on, I can tell you 99.9% of the time when I have ever approached anyone, they were receptive. And so I will tell you, some of my best friends across multiple states, I have met at the gym, I've met at church, I've met who they were just out and about. Let me tell you my favorite. Chris and I were living in Mississippi, and we like to drive through neighborhoods. And so there was this new gated community called Lineage Lakes, and they had these beautiful homes, and the gate was open. Well, that's an invitation. Okay. So we drive into this gated community, and there was a house being built. Now, the sheetrock wasn't even up yet. So we get out, and this was about, 16, 17 years ago. We get out, we're walking through this house, right? And we hear something. I say, Chris, did you hear that? He said, yes, I do. I think somebody's here. Well, it was somebody. Here we are trespassing, and the owner of the house, the wife, came to check on the house. That lady not only became a friend, but a confidant, a mentor, and we are close to this day. She has meant so much to me. So be open, go where people are. So that would be my recommendation. Do you have any thoughts about that, Dr. Marks?
No, what I just learned is it's okay to trespass to get a friend. So,
Hey, if I could add to that, several of the people that I have met that way, or just out and about, they've introduced me to their friend group, and now I have friends from their friend group. I mean, the multiplication effect. Okay, so the key word here is be open and be intentional. All right.
yep.
Okay. So, Dr. Marks, we're going to kick it over to you to lead us through this conversation, the friends that grow us versus the ones that drain us. Take it away.
So here's the principle we'd like you to think about tonight. The people closest to us either contribute to your growth or they contribute to your stagnation. They contribute to you maturing or they can contribute to your being harmed. Or more simply, people closest to you can be a source of pleasure, or people close to you can be a source of pain. And sadly, what you find is a lot of family members are not really friends. A lot of people that you thought were friends, turns out they really aren't. And we have found that to be true. My children found that to be true in their experiences in life, particularly from childhood. People they thought were friends walked away from them at some point and never walked back. And you have to grieve the loss, and yet you've got to still make friends because we all need friends. You can't live life as an island, right?
Mhm.
And so just think about that. And I wrote here, no friendship is neutral. Every relationship is moving us towards greater maturity, greater love, and greater wisdom, or they're moving us towards greater dysfunction, immaturity, emotional exhaustion. Or I like to say this way, do the people in life inspire you and help you become a better person? Or do your so-called friends actually cause you angst and dysfunction? I think if you're married, then your spouse needs to be one of your greatest friends.
Mhm.
And I think for me at least, if our friendship, if mine and Wells' friendship, if mine and Don's friendship, if mine and Miko's friendship, mine and Aunt Benita's friendship, if our friendships are healthy, then healthy friendships always lead you to becoming the best version of you. They don't
Mm-hmm.
take from you, they build into you. Because healthy friendships, which is really a relationship, actually are about more about giving than they are taking. All
Mm-hmm.
right. And healthy love knows how to give and receive. So think about it this way. If you became exactly like your five closest friends, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, would you be pleased with the outcome? Would you be pleased with the outcome? And remember this, folks, key truth. All humans are relational creatures.
Mm-hmm.
We will become like the people we spend the most time with. You will. People will know you by the people that you hang out with. And from a faith standpoint, always remember this. Demons do not hang out with the angels, and angels do not hang out with demons. They will
Mm-hmm.
never be friends. Demons hang out with demons, angels hang out with angels. If you want to be the best version of yourself, then your friendship group needs to be people that inspire you to become that. If you want to be the worst version of yourself, you need to find a friendship group that helps you do that as well. Gang members hang out with gang members. Drug addicts hang out with drug addicts. Those are relationships. And so you always decide who you want to be and you find friends that help you get there. All right. I found that to be true. Scripture teaches in Proverbs 13:20, walk with the wise and become wise. For a companion of fools suffers harm. And research does consistently demonstrate, folks, that friendships affect your happiness, they affect your health, they affect your habits, they affect your emotional maturity, and friendships always affect your ability to be successful in life and all aspects of life and resiliency. All right. And remember, I said earlier that people are a source of pain or pleasure. And here's the thing: you also are a source of pain or a source of pleasure. Or as Dr. Gordon always said to me, my greatest teacher mentor, whether you like it or not, Rick, using my marriage, but it's a friendship relationship, you're either a source of pain or a source of pleasure to Willa. You're a
Mm-hmm.
source of pain or a source of pleasure to your kids. You have to decide day by day who you want to be. All right?
I noticed that there was no in between in there. There was no like gray area that she offered.
Nope.
Mhm.
Nope. It is true. You're a source of pain or a source of pleasure. When it comes to the brain, it's that simple. And now, why do friendships matter for life? I got some ideas here. One, friendships help shape your identity because the friendships do affect your beliefs. They'll affect your values. We hear about peer pressure. So friendships affect your behaviors and choices. Thus, it'll affect your character and they can affect your expectations. But I also believe, and people have heard us say this much because it's one of the core teachings that we have in Relate Well, that there are four core questions that every child's brain is asking at birth, and it has to be answered. And those four questions are: do I have value? Do I matter? Am I loved and lovable? And do I have a purpose? And I actually believe that healthy friendships will always send you the message that you have value, that you matter, you are loved and lovable, and they encourage you in finding your purpose and helping you achieve your purpose. Where unhealthy friendships tend to make you believe that you don't have value, you don't matter, you're not loved and lovable, and that you probably don't have a healthy purpose. And that friendship and emotional maturity kind of folks do go hand in hand because to be a really good friend requires you becoming a healthy, mature adult. And so in our world of thinking, there's there's some characteristics of friendships that will grow you. And if guess what one of them is our core relational values, HREG, humility,
Yeah.
respect, empathy, and goodwill. Because healthy friends demonstrate humility. In other words, when they're humble, when we're humble, we're teachable. We admit we make mistakes in our relationships. All right. And you don't always have to be right. Isn't it great to have a friend that you can mess up and they'll still be there? That
Yes.
you can think stupid and then they correct you, but they don't call you dumb and stupid. You just didn't know. They knew you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the
Yeah.
greatest thing. And healthy friendships respect you. They respect your dignity. They'll respect and value your perspectives, and they don't demean and they don't ridicule you.
Okay. Hey,
Healthy
Dr. Mark, you
friendship.
got a
Yeah.
question real quick from Don. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Don.
Uh, I think what you just said might have helped me there because I think all of us can be a source of pain and pleasure at times. But I think what you're saying is there's an overall, like, we're all going to mess up, is what you're saying. And then, our friends will even, forgive us. But overall, like if you take into account everything, I'm either mostly a source of pain or mostly a source of pleasure, though all of us at some point can be a source of pain and pleasure.
Yeah, well, because we're human.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're all human. And that's why, people always ask me, Don, how did you get to where you were? And they want to hear what were the steps, what was the process? And I always tell them there was no steps to get where I was. In reality, every day, every moment, I had to make a decision. Who am I going to be and how am I going to show up in this moment? Am I going to be a source of pain or a source of pleasure right here, right now, in this moment? And because I valued my transformation so much, I chose HREG versus pride, disrespect, alacrity, and ill will. Because in the end, every decision I make, I will be a source of pleasure or a source of pain just by what I do. And so HREG was how I got there because it became the value system by which I funneled my behaviors through and my choices through. And so I do think healthy friendships do have empathy for each other because empathy allows us to understand rather than force to try to be understood. All right. It means that they listen. It means that they're going to care about your experience. I have to agree. And
Mhm.
lastly, I think good friendships, healthy friendships, um, they'll have goodwill towards you. Why? Because goodwill means I want your best. I want the best for you. And goodwill is actually kindness. All right. So they celebrate your victories. They're not jealous of your victories. All right. They don't try and compete with you. All right. Unhealthy friendships want to compete with you. They don't go celebrate your victory. They're like, well, how come I can't have that? All right. Because in
Mhm.
healthy friendships, goodwill means I really do want you to be successful in all
Mhm.
aspects. And I think because of that, faithful are the wounds of a friend.
Oh, break that down.
Faithful are the wounds of a friend. I have had people tell me hard things about me that I didn't want to hear. But the reason that proverb is so true is because when a friend tells you something that's true about you, that's painful for you to hear, they risk the friendship in that moment. But they're
Mhm.
willing to risk the friendship because they care enough about you. So the truth is, a healthy friend will never lie to you. They'll tell you the truth, even if that truth they know will be painful for you to hear. But that wound is faithful. It is faithful, right? And I think good, healthy friendships they encourage responsibility, right? They challenge our excuses. They encourage us to take ownership. They support us in making healthy choices. They inspire us to grow. Um, I believe healthy relationships, those friendships inside in your world, they will not enable, support, endorse unhealthy, self-destructive behaviors.
Mhm.
They will say, no, you need to care more about you. And even if you keep doing it, you may force them out of their life because remember, sometimes you push people away who want to be there for you. We'll push them away because we don't hear those truths. But they want you to be a healthy, responsible person. They don't want you to be irresponsible. If someone allows you to live a life of irresponsibility and they don't challenge you, that isn't a friend.
Mhm.
That isn't a friend. That's a compatriot in dysfunction. If you want to call that a friend, feel free. But in my mind, that's not a true friend. All right.
Mhm.
Because true friendships inspire people to get better, grow, and mature. All right.
And
And
Dr. Mark,
yeah.
but to I lived a real life example of that not too long ago with a friend, and she is going through a difficult season. And she was very honest and authentic with me about what she was going through, what she was thinking, her behavior. And she told me, which was not easy for her to share. She'd only shared it with just a few people, And at the end of our time together, she said, "Thank you. Thank you for not judging me. Thank you for listening." And so I think the other side of that is you choosing to be a safe person in the friendship. Does your friend know that they can trust you? And when she shared, I did not have to say, well, this is what you should do. Or do you want my opinion? Or no, I listened, I asked questions, I cared. And she said, what do you think? So are you being the type of friend that you would want someone to be for you? And people know, they know if they can trust you with their heart, they know if they can be vulnerable. And they also know your character, so that if they're sharing something that's not in line with what you believe, that you will lovingly speak into that. So,
Yes. I think I think the fourth trait here on friendships that bring life to you, that encourage you and are healthy. I think the thing is when you spend time with these people, you actually feel better about you.
mhm,
You feel more encouraged, you feel more inspired, you feel understood, you may feel challenged, but you actually feel stronger. Because
yes.
I believe the healthiest relationships are those relationships that when you engage in them and when you're in them, even if they're not around, you know they're there. Medea says we all need those roots, the roots of a tree, right? The roots of the tree, they don't, nobody needs to see them. Nobody knows they're there, but you couldn't get all that you get without those roots, those friendships.
Mhm,
Those are the people that don't need to be known or seen, but they're there for you no matter what. And when you're in their presence, you actually can be, you're so emotionally safe with them. You get to be you. And in that, you feel encouraged, you feel valued. And I think it's that kind of friendship that inspires me to be a better person.
mhm.
You know,
Yes.
iron sharpens iron. We
Um,
sharpen each other along the way. One of the things that Don and I did, even though we were brothers and we were both kind of changing our lives because we both realized we had to become better and more mature because we weren't in those early days in the early 90s. We both realized that well, he was doing his transformation through personal growth. I was doing my transformation through relationship education growth. But the more that I was doing relationship education, I realized I'm kind of messed up. Well, Don was telling me about all the things he was learning from his mentors. You know, he had a thing that he called Mark's University. And he told me about Jim Rohn and he told me about all these people that he was listening to. And I wouldn't got those same things, right? And Don
mhm.
was like, man, I'm getting better, but I don't know how to communicate. I don't know how to do with this. I'll go, oh, you do it this way. Because I was learning all the relationship skills.
That's
And
just
he
good
even
stuff.
came years ago and sat one weekend through my 3 day Hope Weekend group marriage intensive and learned the skills. We cross trained each other in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
And I became immersed in personal growth. He got involved in relationship education because you need both and.
Mhm.
I need to be a healthy individual, but also I need to know how to communicate, how to emotionally regulate. Well, you don't
Yeah.
learn that in individual work, you learn that in relational context. And
Mhm.
so we kind of cross-trained each other over the years.
Mhm.
And you know, I, he and I may not, well, we talk about every week, but even if we didn't talk for a long time, once we pick up the phone, it's like you never missed a beat, you know.
Dr. Marks, okay, I want to highlight something here. It because I feel like it needs to be said.
Uh-huh.
You can't get better at friendships apart from relationship. So just reading a book is not going to help you be a better friend. Just listening to an audio or podcast, you've got to then take what you learned, okay, that's step one, but then you've got to apply it in the context of relationship. So you got to relate.
Yeah. I was working with a young man today that I've been mentoring, and we were doing his parts party, using that as a kind of a coaching tool to help him understanding stuff. And he has a part Eeyore. That's what I called it. It's kind of this depressed part. And I go, when Eeyore shows up, what do you do? He goes, oh, I turn to Spock, Mr. Spock. So when he feels the pain
Uh-huh.
and all the hurt, he becomes hyper rational. He becomes,
Mhm.
I said, so the way you deal with pain is by becoming hyperlogical? He goes, yes. I said, what
Mhm.
does it do in your marriage? And he said, it actually frustrates her. I said, what if when you felt Eeyore, rather than turn to Spock, you went to humility and said, I'm really hurting right now.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
goes, that's a risk. I go, I know,
Yes.
because you turn to another part of you that's unhealthy. But if you
Mhm.
turn to relationship, then someone can mourn with you, Romans 12:15. Someone can comfort you, 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4. Someone can do Galatians 6:2. They can bear the burden with you. What if you turn to a relationship in that moment rather than to an internal wounded part? He said,
Mhm.
that would be risky. And I said, but it's the
Mhm.
way of health
Mhm.
because we never mature, we never grow apart from healthy relationships. You cannot
Right.
develop emotional maturity individually. It comes
Mhm.
in relationship. So those are the things that kind of that help build healthy relationships. I know we got to in here in just a minute. So let's talk about the things that drain you. All right.
Yes.
So um, you can think about a person that when that relationship you've had that person has made you feel better. That's that person you always want in your life because they make you feel better. And what were the qualities that made that friendship valuable with that person? But now we need to talk about the characteristics of friendship that drain you. First one I think is this: that friendship, everything revolves around that person.
Mm.
In other words, when you start talking about something, they turn the conversation to them. So it's mostly one-sided conversations. They're constantly in crisis. There's little to no curiosity about you. How are you thinking? What were your feelings? What's going on in your world? And there's a lot of chronic self-focus. Those are the people that will drain you. All right, because eventually those people become emotionally exhausting. All right. I see
Okay.
that Benita has her
Yes.
hand
Question.
raised.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Miss Benita. I don't think she's
I don't know
responding.
if she can
Okay.
hear us. Okay.
All righty.
We'll
So
come
that
back.
think that's one thing that everything revolves around them. Those kind of people drain you. Also,
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, there she
Yes.
is.
I'm sorry. I didn't have my glasses. I was trying to unmute myself. You were hitting on some points there that I wanted to hear tonight. And I would like for you to incorporate in your talk tonight or maybe at a later time. I think is so important. Dealing with the narcissistic personality. When you have friends, you can kind of put your friends, block their contact number or whatever. But when it's someone who is a loved one whom you're in relationship with or you're struggling to be in relationship with, takes the same skills. And that person is always bringing it back to them, everything back to them. The narcissistic personality is a very difficult personality to deal with, in my experience.
well, true, true. But let me say this. And I'm putting my psychologist hat on now.
Okay.
All right, not my pastor hat. My psychologist hat wants people to know that there are, in reality, very few true narcissistic personality disorders, which is by definition in the DSM a access to diagnosis. It's a character disorder. There are very few of those people. They do exist, of course, but there are very few of them. However, the term narcissism is being thrown around today like crazy. And I learned from my professors in graduate school that there are fad diagnoses. Right now, narcissism is being thrown around. A few years ago, everybody's being adult ADHD. Before that, everybody had PTSD. Before that, it was dissociative disorders, going back to the 80s. You had all these fad diagnoses. We're in one of those fads right now. And I always remind people that person's not a narcissist. Narcissistic personality. They might be narcissistic, but really they're just very emotionally immature. But emotionally infant, emotional children, emotionally adolescent, which is emotional immaturity, who do they focus on? Themselves. That's not narcissism. That's immaturity. But if you label that thing a narcissist, that's a very, very particular diagnosis. And in reality, narcissists do not change. They have they have to manage themselves. And so
Mm,
in that case, Aunt Benita, you would never have a healthy relationship with those people because they lack empathy by design. An immature person can be confronted. They don't like it because they're very selfish, which is what narcissism is. They're very selfish, but they can grow mature when they're ready. The narcissistic personality disorder, even when they're ready, you don't trust it because they're a true NPD. Got it? And they need intensive psychotherapy because it's a character disorder. It's known as an axis 2 diagnosis. So I would agree that you can't have a healthy relationship with a narcissistic personality. And if there's one in your family, then you just have to set boundaries with them. That's it.
Okay, then I'm sure that I'm dealing with a narcissistic personality.
Yeah.
Just
Well, what
by
I would tell
just
you,
by the
what I tell you to
definition.
do, go to Google and type in diagnostic criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, and it'll give you the diagnostic criteria for that disorder based on the DSM-5, fifth edition. And
Guess
if
what?
someone
I
meets
think
those
I
criteria, that's the diagnosis.
I think I could write that
Okay.
based
So,
on my
anyways,
own education and experience. Thank you very much. That was very enlightening.
uh-huh. So, unhealthy people that drain you, they reinforce your maturity. Why? Because they blame, they complain, they're victim thinking, they're gossiping, they're resentful, all right? And rather than help you grow, they actually help you stay stuck. And I
mm,
think another trait of unhealthy people, friends, that kind of drain you is they actually violate HREG. They
mm,
lack humility. They're always right and they're never accountable. They lack respect. So they're dismissive, they're critical and controlling. They lack empathy. There's little concern for how things are for you. And lastly, they lack goodwill. Why? Because they tend to be jealous, they want to compete, and they'll sabotage. And I think another thing that these people do to drain you is they create emotional debt. You've heard the idea of, there's an emotional bank account. Well, they tend
mhm,
to make a lot of withdrawals and not a lot of it deposits into that emotional. So you're constantly giving time, energy, attention, support to the relationship with your friend, and they just take very little giving back of time, of energy, and attention and support. All right. So you
mm,
wonder why? Why did this relationship drain me? Well, because you keep giving and they keep taking. They don't give much back. And you begin to realize this relationship is really one-sided. Sure it is. Sure it is. I, this is one of the things with addictions that is rather interesting. And I think this applies to a lot of places, by the way. The alcoholic gets off work, goes to the bar, hangs out with all of his friends. I'm putting his friends in a quotation here. Um, and then he finds out he's an alcoholic and he needs to save his marriage and he's got to go get in recovery. So he goes into recovery, starts going to AA, can't drink anymore, so he doesn't go to the bar anymore because not a good thing to go to the bar if you're trying to stay sober. But he still believes he has all his friends. So he invites them over for cookouts and stuff. They go, I'll bring the beer. No, no, don't bring any, but I got a lot of sodas, everything. He realizes they don't come over.
mm,
And then what he realizes is this: it wasn't a friendship. And when we use the word friendship in quotes, what friendship was
mm.
there, it was centered around,
Alcohol.
it was around the alcohol.
Alcohol.
You can't see
Yep.
that there. It was
Mm-hmm.
centered around the drink. But if you remove the drink from the equation,
Mm-hmm.
the relationships fall apart. So it wasn't a true friendship. What kept the relationship going, connected, was something.
Mm,
This is true of some churches. If you leave that church, those friends walk away from you. Why? It wasn't a true friendship. You weren't truly brothers and sisters. The friendship was only centered around you being a part of the same church, bar. It's that. But if you remove yourself from it or they kick you out of it, that relationship is gone.
mm-hmm.
And I think that's just what it is. You start to feel drained at some point. And remember this, unhealthy relationships will pull you away from your values. All right. You start to find yourself being cynical or critical or bitter or irresponsible, or they may want you to compromise your values. Get it? Those aren't your friends. Those are not your friends. All right. And don't keep people around in your life that really don't care about you. All right. And
Right.
so you can ask yourself that I got some questions here. What relationships consistently leave you feeling drained? What are the relationships that leave you feeling anxious or guilty or controlled or less like the person you want to become?
Mm-hmm.
If you have those people in your life, keep them in your life, but have good boundaries with them. If not, they'll drain you because that's just
Mm-hmm.
who they are and what they do. It's not good or bad, you see. So you can kind of rate your friendship this way. In this relationship with this person, do I feel respected? Do I feel valued? Does this person encourage my growth? Can we tell each other the truth? Is there mutual care? Is there mutual humility?
Mm-hmm.
Does this relationship strengthen my character? And do I feel more alive after spending time with this person or more drained or less of myself? All right. So
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to kind of wrap up here so Miko can take over. Building better friendships. Step one, you become the friend that you want to have.
Amen.
First and
Yes.
foremost, you become the friend that you want to have. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Because all healthy friendships begin with being healthy, mature people. Secondly, look for character, folks, before chemistry. Look for character before you look for chemistry. Remember, chemistry just attracts you to people, but character sustains the relationship. Third thing I'm thinking of is invest in growth oriented people. Put those people around you that who want to be more humble, who are teachable, who are honest and kind of responsible. Put people around you who want to become the same kind of person you want to become. Remember, demons don't hang out with angels, and angels do not hang out with demons. Gang members hang out with gang members. Happy people hang out with happy people. Miserable people hang out with miserable people. It is what it is. Why? Because you attract to you what you are.
Yes.
It's the law of attraction, the law of reaping and sowing and reaping. All right. And remember, when you have these people in your life that drain you, set boundaries with them. Remember, not every person and not every friendship needs equal access to your life.
That's right.
Some people are in
That's right.
intimate relationships. Some
Mm-hmm.
can be close, but some need to stay acquaintances,
Yes.
just in the social setting. But they don't need to be intimate friendships. Got it?
Yes. Yes.
Remember, some people belong in your circle, and some people belong on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good or bad. That is called reality.
Mm-hmm.
That's just life. And by the way, cultivate a community of strong, healthy people around you. All right. And if you have two to three, four really, really intimate, close friendships, value them.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has friends from 40 years ago,
Wow.
still in her life, that they talk to on a regular basis. I have one person in my life from 63 years ago, Don Marks. He's my brother, of course, but let's be honest. I could also not have a relationship with him based on how we treat each other. He may not have a one-on-one with me. But here's the thing, folks. I cannot tell you I have long-term sustainable friendships because a lot of my friends, especially when I was in a church staff, walked out of my life on me, and I had to go make new friends. And some of my closest friends were people outside of the church. They were people that God put in my life to love me, encourage me, support me, and sustain me. And so remember, God will put those people in your lives.
Yes.
For some reason, the people in the church are not going to be there. The Lord will put those people in your life, however He needs to do it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
evidence of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the people who are there for me in the roughest times of my life, sadly, were non-Christians. Not sadly, I'm grateful they were there. They knew how to love. They knew how to comfort. They knew those things. And those are the people God put in my life. So
Mhm.
so think of it this way. All right. Think of one friendship that helps you grow. And then can you become a friend that needs to help people grow?
Mhm.
All right. Think of that one person that drains you, and then think about who you drain. So here's my final thought. The quality of your future, listen to this. The quality of your future is often hidden inside the quality of your relationships. Choose friends who challenge you to become more loving, more humble, more respectful, more empathic, and more mature. Because over time, folks, we will become like the people we walk with.
Mhm.
Walk with the angels, not the demons. All right.
Yes. You
And
know,
remember, walk with the people you become because God made you as a son and a daughter. Go walk with healthy sons and daughters
yes.
made in the image of God who live that way, not with the orphan spirit, but with spirit of sonship. Walk with
Yes.
those people. All right, I'm done.
You you said in your list, I think it was number 3, in this comment of choose character over charisma.
Yep.
I had a whole moment, okay, and this was the moment. This is the thought.
Yeah,
For
I said
those
character before chemistry, but
here,
that's
there you
actually
go.
true. What you just said is equally true. We tend to be drawn to charismatic people, which creates
Mhm.
chemistry,
Yes.
but you're looking for character, not charisma.
Character over chemistry. So my thought and my encouragement for those of you who are listening to this and you're dating, why would you date someone that doesn't have the qualities to be a good friend? If you wouldn't choose them as a friend, why would you choose to date or partner with them for life? Because what happens is we get the chemistry going and the dopamine, and our brain is high on dopamine and the affection. And so I think many times what we tend to do, and I hear this over and over, is we ignore the red flags of an ill-fitting friend, or and because the chemistry is speaking louder than their character. So character over chemistry, character over charisma. Just a thought
Yep.
there. Okay. All right. Yes, Anina, you have a question.
I have a comment.
Comment. Okay.
If I were there, I would hug Dr. Marks. That was so good. I just want all of us to go into the next room and have refreshments, and talk more. And I hope that there will be a part 2 to this conversation that we're having this evening. Thank you. That's my comment.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. All right. All right. Okay. I'm going to throw out one
Now we
question
know the
for.
Baldwins,
Oh,
since
there
we're
we
a
go.
small group tonight, they're out there just fixing the car. That's what we know they're doing. They're friendly, but
Yay.
they're fixing the car. So we hope that car fix is going well for you guys, by the way. Don
All right.
Marks raised his
Come on,
hand.
Don.
Hello. Um, just a couple things that I want to mention. That one of the things that it's I almost sometimes I go back to like this movie where um, like this person throws a knife, but then they almost like stop time, and then they try to really hard to turn it around, right?
Hmm.
Um, and before time starts back up, so that it doesn't hit who it's aimed at, right?
Oh,
And
wow.
and I feel like that's a good resemblance of the fact that we and this is what you said, Rick, which is um, it was the law of attraction thing that
Yeah.
if the majority of the people that we are around, we would end up saying um, uh, drain us, then we really need to look and see if that's who we are. and
Mm.
and we're the ones that are actually draining too, and be self-aware that man, we've got some improvements to make. um, and maybe it's another way that I'd I'd word it of a conversation I had recently with Ben Tomasini, who you know, Rick.
Yep.
We were talking about uh, Steve Jobs, and one of the things, you ever heard of the signal and the noise? You ever heard that?
Uh-uh.
Steve Jobs, one of the things that he said was what made him very successful is the fact that every day when he wrote a list of the things to do, he only put a number next to the first three things. Okay. And that's the signal. And when he started on number one, and he did nothing but number one until it was either done or he was as far as he could go on number one for that day. Okay. Anything else, anything else that got in the way of number one while he was working on it was the noise. Okay. Anything. Okay. And so it, in the same way, made me, I had this conversation when I was talking with Ben, and I said, Ben, I said, I wonder, am I part of your signal or am I part of your noise? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And in the same way, of whether I'm draining or not is, am I part of what's of the priority of the time that you spend with me, right? Or am I really just noise to you, right? And uh, I wanted to know that because that I would be spending time with the ones that were part of the signal, right? For what
Yes.
it's worth.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's
It just
good.
made me think, Don, in terms of over the years where someone's been in my presence and I really didn't want to spend time with them, but I faked like I did. Um, I'm actually noise to them, or they're no, in that sense, they're noise to me
Mm-hmm.
using that language.
Mm-hmm.
And my language is, I don't care enough to be present. For whatever reason, I don't care enough to be present in their life in that moment, even if there was a need in front of me. And this is the Rick 30 years ago when I was on staff at First Baptist. A lady came up to me with tears in her eyes because she's recently divorced. She's hurting. No, her husband cheated on her and she's hurting. And her Sunday school class people were saying things like, well, you need to trust Jesus more. You need to
Mm.
trust. And she came to me with tears in her eyes, shared me the pain, and she said, would you pray for me? And I said, yes. And she walked away. Now, I'm not proud of the story. This is Rick 30 years ago. And when she walked away, the Holy Spirit said to me, you lied to her. You're not going to pray for her.
Oh.
And that was true.
Mm.
It was true. See, I'm Dr. Marks. I'm Reverend Marks. I've got to be Christ-like.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a need to comfort, and there is a need to, there's a need to encourage right there in front of me. And I did
Mm-hmm.
not care enough to meet that need. And in a sense, I treated her as noise, Don. And when the Holy Spirit pointed that out to me, I said, I will never do that again. I will meet the need in front of me, and I will
Mm-hmm.
treat people as people and with value. And if I can't speak to them, I will tell them because that's integrity.
Yes.
Because I
Yes.
believe integrity is a key piece to all of this. So,
Yes.
anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
thanks,
Awesome.
Don, for that. I was thinking about it in
Yes.
light of me and who I've been over the years.
Thank you.
So,
Okay. So I want you to think about this is an audience poll, okay? Which of these statements best describes what you learned tonight? All right. So you can put the alphabet, it's A, B, C, D, or E. Just put the alphabet in the chat. All right. So A, I need to be more intentional about choosing my friendships. B, I need stronger boundaries in some friendships. C, I need to become a healthier friend myself. D, I need more growth oriented people in my life. Or E, all of the above. So I'll say those again. A, I need to be more intentional about choosing my friends. B, I need stronger boundaries in some friendships. C, I need to become a healthier friend to myself. D, I need more growth-oriented people in my life. Or E, all of the above. So just put the letter corresponding to the statement that best suits you. All right, I see E, B, and D. Yeah, because it could be a combination. Yes, E. For myself, I am going to say, let's see, in the chat. How can I put? Okay, here we go. In the chat, I need to, you know what? I can, yeah, I'm going to say E, all of the above for myself. Okay. Thank you all for engaging in that poll. Okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I created a special offer around this conversation. So, what if in the next 90 days you could transform the quality of your relationships? And so, tonight we learned that healthy relationships don't just happen by accident, they happen when people are open and they learn and practice the right skills and tools. So, that's why we put together the RelateWell relationship special offer, which includes, and I'm going to pull this up on the screen and share it with you. All right. Okay, here we go. So what that entails is, okay, there we go. I need to move my little bar here so we can see. All right, there we go. So it's the RelateWell Core online video curriculum that teaches all of the skills. It teaches you the HREG concept, humility equals respect, empathy, and goodwill, which is the framework for all of our work. And it teaches you these skills to help you become. We talk about not having humility, respect, empathy, and goodwill, but becoming it. That teaches you those skills so that you can impact a relationship and bring safety to the relationship. All right, you have access to that program for 1 year. That program is usually $149 online. And then 1 hour of coaching. That's private coaching with Dr. Marks or I. That would be either a virtual session, or if in the Jacksonville area, in person, that would be in person. And our sessions are $175 an hour. So instead of that total value you paying $324, with this special tonight, it's only $65. That's over 80% off the regular price. And a bonus is, if you don't need it in your life, you can gift it to someone else. Okay, because we could all be better at relating. Okay, so if you already have the program, gift it to somebody else. All right. This offer expires tomorrow night around 8 p.m. Okay. So if you have any questions about it, you can always respond to the email that I sent earlier. But we hope that you take advantage of that and to basically invest in yourself and relationships. Okay. Now, mark your calendars, because we are coming back for more conversation July the 7th. Okay. July 7th. And I can't, Dr. Marks, do you remember the topic? It's
No, I
really,
do not.
no, but it's really good. Like, I was like, oh, this is going to be so good. It's going to be good. So the registration, you're going to get an email tonight. So everyone that was on the call tonight will get a follow-up email. It will have the topic in that email along with the offer and some additional information. All right. So stay connected with us on social media, because we're sharing nuggets and tools and videos to help enrich you and your relationships.
Okay,
Because go
I got
ahead.
it. Here it is.
All right.
It's called the
Talk to us.
comfort trap. It's called the comfort trap. Why growth begins when comfort ends.
Ooh,
In other words, at some point, comfort becomes uncomfortable. And that's the comfort trap. That's July 7th.
excellent. I tell you what, any growth that has ever happened in my life happened where? Outside of my comfort zone. And I'm so thankful for it. All right. We are here to serve you. Let us know if there's anything that we can do to support you in your relationships. And in the meantime, relate well and love maturely.